So I didn't realize that my video earlier got cut off at the end before I uploaded it. And I decided, you know, there's a lot of stuff going on in our country. And being I'm a combat veteran, and I know there's a lot of veterans out there that kind of feel like they've been left behind. I've seen a lot of people burning and stomping on flags and thinking that they're protesting somehow. But when I see somebody burn a flag or I see somebody stomp on a flag, I see a person. In the flames, I see a brother or a sister that gave everything they had in order for you to walk on this ground free. And I wrote this because in the Scouts, we retired flags the proper way. We separated the colors, the white from the red, the blue from the field. So when I look at all the disrespectful things that go on, if you're mad that there's a politician that's disrespecting you, it's not the flag's fault. If you're mad that there's a policy in place, it's not a veteran's fault. If you're mad that somebody's not supporting something, still not a reason to burn my flag. So I'm going to read this. And when I read this, I want you to know that every time you think about burning a flag, this should be what you think about. This writing is called The Final Testimony of Old Glory by Logan Huntington Bixler, 2025. I have a name. They have called me Old Glory. They have called me the Stars and the Stripes. They have called me the Banner of the Free. But I am more than names. I am memory. I am witness. I am sacrifice stitched into cloth. I was born in rebellion. My first breath was candlelight and trembling hands that dared to cut cloth into defiance. They stitched my stars with faith. They painted my stripes with blood, not yet spilled. And they raised me against an empire thought too great to fall. I flew when the musket smoke curled over Lexington, when boots bled in the snow at Valley Forge, when victory was cried at Yorktown. I was baptized in sacrifice from my first breath. I endured when the land tore itself apart, when brothers became enemies. I hung over Gettysburg, where the ground was soaked beyond recognition. I covered the fallen in Antietam, where the earth drank more blood in one day than it had ever known. I was lowered in sorrow at Shiloh and Chickamauga. I watched bells toll for both North and South, and still I endured. I crossed oceans when the world itself shook. I flew above trenches drowned in mud and gas. I was carried by boys who vanished into smoke, and I heard the silence that followed the guns. I rose again when the world caught fire a second time, sewn on uniforms that stormed Normandy's surf, raised by broken hands on the black sands of Iwo Jima, carried through ardent snow where men froze but did not yield. I endured Korea's frozen winds. I bled in the jungles of Vietnam. I was torn by fire in Beirut, in Mogadishu, in the dust of cities, struck down in terror. I flew in deserts where the heat pressed down like iron. I flew in mountains where silence was broken only by the last breath of warriors who kept faith. And now my time has come, not to be discarded, not to be forgotten, but to speak one last time before the fire takes me. For I am not cloth. I am sacrifice. I am sorrow. I am loyalty. My red is not color, but blood. The lifeblood spilled from Bunker Hill to Baghdad, from Gettysburg fields to Fallujah's streets, from Normandy's tide to the dust of Afghanistan. I am the crimson courage of every patriot who charged knowing they would never return. And as the fire takes my red, let it rise as flame, eternal memory of sacrifice, so that when you see red, you see the blood willingly given that you might live free. My white is not empty, but grief. The folded flag pressed into the arms of a mother, the trembling hands of a widow, the tear-stained faces of children staring at an empty chair. My white has wrapped the coffins of the fallen, has soaked the sorrow of generations, has borne the weight of silence when words could not. As the fire takes my white, let the smoke rise as remembrance, carrying every tear, every name carved into stone, every empty place at every table, so that when you see white, you see the love that survives loss. My blue, it's not pigment, but devotion. The long night watch kept by sailors in storm-tossed seas, the oath sworn by soldiers in foxholes, the bond that held men together in jungles and deserts, the loyalty of those who would not yield, even when fear whispered, retreat. My stars shine for every vow I kept under fire, for every brother and sister who stood their ground when hope was gone. As the fire takes my blue, let it burn as light against the darkness, so that when you see blue, you see the loyalty that would not break. And now as fire consumes me, know this: I am not dying, I am ascending. My red rises as sacrifice. My white rises as sorrow. My blue rises as loyalty. I have carried the weight of a nation's blood, a nation's grief, a nation's devotion. Though this cloth turns to ash, I endure. For I am not fabric. I am the testimony of the fallen, the oath of the living. I am Old Glory, and as long as you remember me, I will never fall.